March 1st, not a bad time to talk about football. College football. Schedules came out for all the MAC teams 3 o'clock on Friday. That includes Central Michigan. They've got some interesting games on their schedule. A very difficult non-conference. We all knew about that. Season opens up at Oklahoma, or home against Oklahoma State. They'll have to go to Oklahoma State a couple years down the line after. It's a 2-1 kind of deal. But the first game's a Thursday night against Oklahoma State. And then you have games against Monmouth, at Syracuse, and at MSU in that non-conference schedule. And then, well, the MAC doesn't do you any favors. NIU and at Western Michigan is your first 2 MAC games.
Well, I'm almost rather have Western on the road because you're not beating them at home either way.
But that was already decided.
Might as well waste it on the road, right?
Sure, but NIU right away off the bat, that's homecoming, by the way, too. And it's going to be right there against NIU, a team that Central took care of last year, but NIU is still going to be one of the best teams in the conference. And that's right off the gate. Can't you get Eastern Michigan? Maybe that Kent game is the first MAC game. You look at the schedule.
Take it easy on Easter, Jim.
It's very hard to see 1-5, 2-4 in that first 6-game stretch.
No, it's gonna be really tough. I mean, I think you have the one win against Monmouth, and outside of that, I mean, home against Buffalo might be your next win, right?
I think you got to win that game.
You have to, and I don't even know if you get the job done there. And then you got 2 games on the road. You're going to be tough. You have Toledo at home; they're very good as well. I mean, at least you finish out the year with a win at home against Eastern.
Let's read through the full schedule for everybody. If some people are listening and haven't heard it, and you want to know, okay, well, how does this go throughout the list? Oklahoma State at home, Monmouth at home, at Syracuse, at Michigan State, home against NIU, at Western Michigan, home versus Buffalo, at Ball State, at Akron. Tuesday game at home against Toledo in November, and then you have a road game at Kent on a Wednesday in November, and then you finish it at home against Eastern Michigan. That's your 12-game schedule.
I like the Oklahoma State game at home, and I think students will love that too. If you're a student, how could you not like opening the year against a Power 5 school at home on a Thursday night? Great opportunity to tailgate early on in the year. I mean, I think that'll be a really fun one. I think a lot of students will come out for that as well.
Well, and that's one of those things where you're going to get people interested because it's a big-time opponent, and it's the first day. And then
when you lose by 40,
well, it's the first day of college football. Like, nobody has seen a college football game, so that excitement of all summer builds, and you want to see your team play, and it's a Thursday, and I think that'll be a fun crowd. You're right, though. Oklahoma State's a really good team. The CMU team's got a whole bunch of questions. I mean, you lose Thomas Rawls and Titus Davis. Offensively, you're different. Offense is going to be a different scheme than last year. Defense is going to be a different scheme than last year.
New coaching staff.
You don't want Oklahoma State as your first game, and that's why when you look at that first stretch of games, that non-conference, Monmouth, you're right, that's an FCS opponent. You should win that game. But at Syracuse, a team that won at Kelly Shorts last year, and then at MSU, you got to give it up to the Spartans. The program's doing great things. That's like a 1-3 stretch. I mean, it's hard to expect an upset in there. NIU at home, though, I think you have to look at that seriously. If this is going to be a season where you turn some heads and maybe you're able to flip the schedule on itself, if you can win that NIU game, Western's good. Western might be the favorite in the MAC. But games like Buffalo, at Akron, at Kent State, Eastern, you got to win the ones you're supposed to get close to that bowl eligibility of 6-6.
I was going to say, I think that's the ceiling for this team next year is that 6-win mark.
Yeah, you'd have to win some games that maybe you weren't expected to win, which that typically happens every year, though. They come out and beat somebody. You're like, oh, I didn't think you beat them. And I used the example from last year. You can go back a few years. Iowa was a game that nobody expected CMU to win. There always seems to be that game where they rise up and outplay somebody, but they're going to have to do that a couple times to get to 6 wins. Just the way that, I mean, even Buffalo at home, Buffalo brings back their quarterback and running back, and I think that they're going to be a team that is interesting next season. I'm not going to write that off as a guaranteed win. And even a game like at Kent State. Kent State's not very good, but it's the middle of a week. It's a Wednesday game, wacky road travel schedule. Your practice schedule's thrown off. It's not a very promising schedule. It's not an easy schedule. Last year's schedule was much more favorable.
And who knows what the November weather is going to be in Kent, Ohio at the beginning of November.
At least you get the one midweek home game. And that's the Toledo game. It'll be a Tuesday. In conference. Yeah. But that's interesting. So you've got scheduled games. That Eastern game at the end is a Friday game. So you've got games on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
You'll have the ability to tailgate any day of the week if you're a student.
Well, that Kent State's going to be a road game. I don't know how many tailgaters are going on the road to Kent, Ohio.
Yeah, 5-hour trip.
Nice little 5-hour. Zip on over to Kent.
Just zip down there.
Well, and Akron's right in that same area, too. You've got that trip in there as well. And Ball State's a team that, I mean, I think they're going to be pretty dangerous next year. I think this is a weird down year for Ball State. Coach Lembo does a nice job at Ball State. Yeah. 5-7, just on the
ceiling.
surface.
I think the ceiling is 6. The bottom could be 4.
Well, and a lot of it's a question mark. It's a first-year coach in Bonamigo, and that early stretch is going to be very difficult. If they do, in fact, go 1-5 or 2-4, I think nobody likes to lose. But if you and I are looking at it on paper saying, That's not easy. If you go 2-4 or 1-5, can you really be upset when you think that's the expectation with really tough games early and an uncertain offense and defense and a new coach?
No,
I know you're going to be disappointed, but is it unrealistic?
No, you can be disappointed, but the best
you have
case
to
scenario in
understand it,
those
though.
first 6 is 2-4.
And you have to understand that as a fan.
Yeah.
Right? It's a long-term thing. You can't bury someone because the first few games are difficult, because guess what? Oklahoma State, I think even the biggest Chippewa fans go,
There's
they're
not
gonna
a team.
hang a lot of
There's not a
points on
team in
us.
the MAC that would beat Oklahoma State or Michigan State next year, right?
I don't think so.
No. So
No, I think that's fair.